Well, welcome back to Arc Salt Lake. It is 7:31 on this Tuesday. Well, years after a wrongful conviction was overturned, the story of Amanda Knox is resurfacing. Knox was convicted in 2009 of her roommate's murder, a case that captured international attention. Well, a new Hulu documentary, Mouth of the Wolf, follows Knox as she returns to Italy to confront her past and begin the process of healing. We have investigative reporter Ann Emerson joining us live to talk about this morning. But before we dive deeper into this with Ann, we want to play a clip of that Hulu trailer.
She was perceived as the OJ of Italy.
I got treatment from the media, but the media did not put me in prison. He did.
I wanted to know if the person who hurt me cared. So I went back to confront the man who put me in prison face to face.
Face to face. Now, we just heard in that clip, this case was compared to the O.J. Simpson trial. And what is it about this case that drew so much international attention?
Well, it was a complete media circus the whole way through it. And if you remember back to what was going on back there, I mean, they had labeled her Foxy Knoxy. They had turned it into this really kind of dark sexual encounter that had gone on that was completely made up. I mean, this is a woman who spent 4 years in an Italian prison for a murder that she did not commit. And she was fully exonerated. But because the prosecutor had painted her as this horrible villain who had killed her roommate, Meredith Kircher, that it was very hard to erase that line of thinking, especially in Italy. And so she goes on this journey to try and kind of face her demons, literally. And her demon was this prosecutor, Manini. And the story is extremely intimate. It's told really through her eyes, and her husband is the filmmaker, Chris. So, you know, you can imagine the access there. This portrait is right here. It's like right in your face. And talking to Amanda and Chris, they are the most open. You know, we do this. We sat down and talked to them for about an hour, and you know, just really kind of laid it out there to what it was like, the media, fear of going back.
But the media did not put me in prison.
Well, and I just remember it was this American girl in Italy, you know, a fish out of water, and then facing these serious charges, and that's why it gained such international attention to me. And did you just feel personally attacked?
Well, I think, you know, for her, it was like, you think back, and she had made decisions and had dealt with, you know, the police and the investigation as a 20-year-old. And I don't know, but I mean, I have a 20-year-old. I know what that feels like to talk to a 20-year-old young woman, you know, that their thought processes are not 100% there. You know, you're still developing your life skills. You don't know what to say to police, and you certainly don't think that you're going to get accused of something that you did not do. So she had been under so much prosecution. But really, this is a story of a woman who now, more than a decade later, is going back to the place where she was threatened with her own life. I mean, she was supposed to go to prison for 26 years when they let her out. I mean, she got out after 4 years and 8 months in isolation. So this story is unbelievably personal. And honestly, like talking to Amanda and her husband, I was scared for Amanda when she went back into Italy, because you don't know. Like, remember, like the courts went back and they tried to uphold her convictions even after they had decided that she should be acquitted. They tried to go back in and put her back in prison, basically. And she got off for a second time. She still went back and she's still fighting a slander charge. But I was scared for her that she could end up making a bad decision here. Was it a trap? You know, and to go to the prosecutors area to go and talk to him. And the way that comes up is so interesting to me, that they start having this conversation, because she really needs to resolve this part of her life in order to go on. She was like, I'm always going to be known as the girl who was accused of murder. And she doesn't want that to be her legacy, not for her kids, not for her husband, or for her life now that she's living. She wants to be able to move past this. And the only way she felt like she could, honestly, is to come face to face with this guy.
And opening those old wounds in order to heal, and to see her with her family there and everything. Did they ever figure out who was the real killer?
They did. And they put him in jail. And he has been in, he went to prison for this. And he was someone who had been accused of some other crimes. But they ended up getting the right guy. And it was so sad, because even with that conviction, nobody really believed that Amanda was fully innocent, and she just couldn't clear her name. But it's so interesting too that while I was on, and when you watch the interview on Criminally Obsessed, and I really hope that y'all get a chance to watch this, because it is such a heartfelt interview. But while we're literally in the interview, the prosecutor texts her.
Wow.
And I was like, and it started right at the beginning of the interview, and I was like, who is that? Because I heard her phone go ding, and she goes, you're not gonna believe this, but Manini just texted me.
Oh my
And I was
gosh.
like, so you'll hear more about what happened in that text in the interview. But it really sets up what the relationship's like for the two of them now. But yeah, I mean, they got the right guy. They got the guy that actually had killed Meredith Kircher.
But he's still going.
Violently and brutally.
Yeah.
But they still, the Italian press and the public, it's who knows if they'll ever really buy it.
Let her go. So you came away with what? Admiration, almost respect for Amanda?
I did. I did come away with that, but also just a lot of empathy. I think that's what it was, to see what it was like for her through her eyes, and also to be a mom myself and to know what it's like to have a daughter who's 20 years old. I just can't. I mean, the parallels were so real to me, because she brings her mom into the story, right. And her mom is in the documentary, and her mom doesn't want Amanda to meet with this prosecutor, and she's scared for her daughter, just like any parent would be. Right. Can you imagine finding out that your daughter that you just let go for 1 year to Europe for a study abroad program, which we all, many of us will do, end up with her daughter in prison? I mean, it would be so much PTSD for me to ever let a daughter go back. And you really see it through their eyes. So I just thought they did such a beautiful job with that intimate portrait of trauma, PTSD, and wrongful convictions. This really, really speaks to the Innocence Project and why we need to pay attention to these cases that are getting exonerated.
Okay, and we're out of time, and you can watch Anne's full interview with Amanda Knox on Criminally Obsessed podcast. Anne, thanks so much.
Thank you.